Okay, let's dive in. Welcome, everyone, to a deep dive. We're sorting through the sources you've given us, the research, the articles, the notes, to get right to the heart of the matter. Today, we're looking at a nation, Mexico, around early 2025, dealing with a really tricky mix. A rapid move to digital hitting smack against, well, pervasive corruption. Our goal here is to figure out how this specific environment gave rise to this group called Llama Violeta, and what really drove them to act so drastically.
It's a fascinating situation. The sources really set the scene, Mexico pushing hard into digital, but as one source puts it, from a very precarious edge.
Like walking a digital tightrope. And the material points out this rush happened with what's described as a breathtaking disregard for foundational safeguards. That sounds pretty risky.
It really was. Not planned, more chaotic.
Mm-hmm.
Think outdated systems, tangled networks, just a really haphazard cybersecurity setup, which frankly made them a huge target.
And the numbers back that up, right? The sources say in 2024, Mexico saw 55%. That's over half of all cyber attacks in Latin America, costing over 40 million US dollars directly.
Yeah.
That's massive.
Huge. But, underneath that digital vulnerability, there's this deeper issue. The corruption. Transparency International's 2024 index. Mexico hit its lowest score ever, just 26 out of 100. That put them way down to 140th globally and dead last among OECD countries.
Dead last. So this wasn't just like a few isolated cases?
Not at all. The sources call it systemic. It's about, impunity, connections between crime and officials, using shell companies to drain funds. It wasn't just undermining trust. It was actively weakening the state's ability to function, including cybersecurity. The two things were feeding each other,
Okay, so you have this environment. One source called it digitally exposed and ethically hollowed. That's where Llama Violeta comes into the picture.
Exactly. They apparently saw the weak cybersecurity and the deep corruption not as separate issues, but as inextricably linked, two facets of the same decay. Their view was the state wasn't just failing on the digital front. It was failing to protect its people, los inocentes, the innocent ones, from the damage corruption causes.
Which pushed them towards a really radical path, feeling like the normal ways were broken.
Definitely radical.
Yeah.
The sources talk about a planned radical digital rebellion, even a cyber war against the system itself. And their methods were clearly illegal.
Things like network trespassing, data exfiltration, system disruption.
Mm-hmm. And the sources detail their toolkit, too. Disruptive stuff like DDoS attacks, website defacements, to get their message out directly, plus sophisticated data theft, even social engineering tactics.
Operating like that must have been incredibly risky. Against the state, maybe even organized crime.
Immense risks, yeah. Legal trouble, physical danger. The sources stress how much they relied on operational security. OPSEC.
Right, things like layers of anonymization Tor, VPNs, those virtual machines basically trying to be untraceable.
And secure communication was key. End-to-end encryption, obviously, but also things like dead man switches, ways to release info automatically if they got caught or stopped.
They also used ultimatums, didn't they? Public warnings before leaking data?
Yeah, that was a core tactic. They'd issue these public warnings, often giving 72 hours for a response, using that hashtag Llama Violeta Jerte. It seems like an attempt to, claim the moral high ground, maybe pressure the government publicly before dropping the data.
And this whole situation, the sources suggest, was really only possible because of deeper institutional problems.
Absolutely. A big one was the lack of a strong, comprehensive national cybersecurity law that was actually enforced.
And not enough skilled people in government to handle cyber threats either, right?
That too, a chronic shortage. So even when they tried setting up things like a new directorate of cybersecurity, it struggled without real legal teeth or, frankly, political muscle behind it.
Plus, you had incidents like the Inferno leaks in early 2025, millions of citizens' data exposed. That must have just reinforced Llama Violeta's view that the state couldn't protect people.
It seems likely, yeah. A very public failure that probably hardened their resolve to act outside the system.
So pulling it all together from this deep dive, what we see is this really volatile mix. A nation rushing online without the proper shields, and this deep corruption acting like an accelerant for the problems.
Mm-hmm. And Llama Violeta emerges as this really controversial, radical response. Born, it seems, out of total disillusionment with the system's ability to fix itself or protect its people.
It's striking how these different kinds of systemic failure, security failures, governance failures can kind of merge together.
Yeah, creating conditions where radical, even illegal actions start to look like the only option to some people.
Which leaves us with a pretty heavy question for you, the listener, to think about. When trust in institutions just collapses and digital weaknesses are laid bare for everyone to see, what do people perceive as the path to accountability? And crucially, what are the inevitable costs and risks of taking that path?